I know what you all are gonna say. It is definitely very annoying, irritating. It's beyond belief. Hi, hello and welcome. How is everybody doing? If this is the first time you're seeing my face, my name is Ansel, and over here we do a little bit of true crime, murder, mystery, and sometimes a bit of the paranormal. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, please click the subscribe button down below. Also make sure the notification bell is turned on so that you are notified of future videos. With all that being said, let's get into the video. Just a quick disclaimer, all the information that I have included in this video is what I have found online, and it is by no means meant to create a certain narrative, opinion, or to harm anybody. Today's case is about the Breda family axe murders that happened here in South Africa in Stellenbosch. A little bit of background on the Breda family. There are 5 members of this family, starting off with Martin, who is the father. He was 54 in 2015 and was said to be a very wealthy businessman. He actually held a director's seat in over 25 companies. In 2006, Martin actually moved his family from South Africa to Australia, Perth, for a business venture. Next, we have Teresa, who was 56 in 2015. She studied computer science and was said to be an excellent cook. She had a loving and caring personality. Martin and Teresa had 3 children, Henry, 21, Rudy, 23, and Marley, 16 in 2015. The 2 boys, Henry and Rudy, actually moved up from Perth to Melbourne, Australia to study at the University of Melbourne. Henry was studying physics at the time, and Rudy was studying engineering and was aiming to do his master's in engineering at the same university. He also had a long-term girlfriend in Australia. Martin, Teresa, and Marley decided that they would actually move back to South Africa in 2014. Reason being is Martin actually started a new business venture here in South Africa, and most of his businesses were situated here as well, so he wanted a bit more of a hands-on approach when concerning his businesses. Teresa also chimed in that she would have just loved to be more closer to her family here in South Africa as well. They moved into the De Zalza Estates in Stellenbosch, which is a gated community with 24/7 security guards patrolling around the whole estate, security gates. They had electric fencing with trip alarms on them. They also had temperature readers all around the estate that picked up body temperature. The Breda house is actually situated right smack bang in the middle of the estate. So the family was quite safe where they were and the area that they lived in. In August 2014, Henry decided to let his father know that he would not be continuing on with his studies. He wanted to take a gap year and wanted to move back into the family home, which he did later that month, later in August. Marley, the youngest of the siblings, was 16 years old in 2015. She attended Somerset College, where she also had a boyfriend that attended the same school, James Jan. From the outside, it seemed that the family was perfect, with one of Martin's business partners actually saying that the family and the children were lovely and awesome to be around. Marley's boyfriend, James Jan, also added to the statement in court, saying that the family was quite easy to socialize with. At At Christmas, both brothers were actually at the family home. Rudy came up from Australia with his long-term girlfriend to spend Christmas with his family. In South Africa, Christmas is right over our summer period, so the family did a lot of outdoor activities. They just enjoyed nice quality family time over this Christmas break. Rudy's girlfriend went back to Australia in early January 2015, and Rudy was scheduled to go back to Australia in February 2015. On the 26th of January 2015, the family decided that they wanted to have a nice family dinner. Molly was in her room doing some homework, seeing that it was a Monday night. Teresa was, of course, cooking in the kitchen. The family helper said that the day was quiet and that she at one point saw Rudy laying on the couch with the family dog. Martin was enjoying some wine in the living room, and Henry was out at the beach with his girlfriend and came home around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and joined his father for some few glasses in the living room as well. After they ate dinner and everything was cleared up, the family kind of went their separate ways. Martin actually installed a new surround sound system that he wanted to try out with the boys, and they ended up watching Star Trek. Later that evening, they all went up to bed. Rudy and Henry were sharing a room, and Martin went into the master bedroom. On the morning of the 27th of Jan, emergency services actually received a call from the Van Breda house. It was Henry on the line saying that his family had just been attacked by an axe murderer. He's the only one that's left standing, it seems. He's the only one that can communicate with anyone to please send police and emergency services. So fair warning, this emergency call is quite frustrating. Henry was on the line with the emergency services for 25 minutes. I will insert a short clip of it here.
107, what is your emergency?
I need an ambulance. Lots of,
You need an ambulance?
Yes, please.
What's your name, sir?
Henry from Breda.
Henry. What's the contact number you're phoning from?
My home phone number, but I'm not sure what the home phone number is. My cell phone. We're at 12 Husker Street, please.
What is this number that you're phoning from? Is there someone else that can speak if you're not able to?
No.
Who else is in the house?
There's no one else.
I need the contact number, please.
Yeah, okay. 021
021
8800
8800
493.
493. And you need the ambulance to go to what?
Number 12 Husker Street.
Hoskes.
Husker. G-O-S.
G-O-S. What area is this?
It's in Stellenbosch, and it's in Resulta Estate.
Number 12, Hoskes Street,
Yes.
Stellenbosch.
Yes.
I'm not picking it up for Stellenbosch. I'm picking it up for Business Milnerton.
We're in Resulta Winelands. It's an estate. D-E, in other words, Z-A-L-Z-E.
D-E-Z-A-L-Z-E.
I know what you all are gonna say. It is definitely very annoying, irritating. It's beyond belief, but the emergency operator actually testified in court and gave a reason why the emergency call took the route that it did. Personal opinion is that any and every emergency call should be taken seriously, no matter the circumstances. But she does give a reason as to why the call ended up the way that it did. After the emergency services and the police came, Henry and Molly was rushed to the hospital. Molly sustained quite serious injuries. She had an axe wound to her head and to her neck. Henry had some cuts on his chest from fighting with the attacker. He had the stab wound in his abdomen, and he had a cut in his arm. But we will go into more detail in regards to the injuries a little bit later on. The detectives then questioned Henry as to what happened that night, what he can remember, and what they can write down. Henry said that he woke up in the early hours of the morning to go to the bathroom. While he was in the bathroom, he said he heard banging noises coming from inside the house, and he quickly slipped out of the bathroom and went to go to his room, which he shared with his brother. As he entered the room, he said that he saw a man dressed in all black, head covered, hands covered, everything covered, standing above his brother, busy hacking him with an axe. Henry obviously screamed for help, to which Martin came into the room, switched on the lights. The murderer then pursued Martin and started attacking him with the axe. Henry said he was frozen in fear. He didn't know what to do. He stood in the corner of the room just watching this unfold. He then heard his mother in the hallway, and the attacker then went into the hallway and started attacking his mother. Henry said that the door was partially closed, so he could not see the actual attack happening. He could also not see anybody else being attacked. He said the attacker then came back into the boy's room and started slowly going forward to him with the axe in his hand. Henry said that the attacker was laughing as he did this, and he was walking extremely slowly towards Henry. Henry said he then wrestled the axe from this attacker and managed to hit him with the axe. The attacker took out a knife and slashed Henry across the chest, the arm, and stabbed him in the abdomen and fled the room. Henry said he quickly followed after the attacker. As he went out of his room, he saw his mother and his sister lying in the hallway. He then attempted to throw the axe as the attacker is descending down the stairs, but he missed. Henry then pursued the attacker, and as he got to the stairs, he tripped and he fell down the stairs. By the time he got to the bottom, the attacker had gone out of the house and was nowhere to be seen. Henry then went out of the side door and looked at that side of the house to see if he could see the attacker or any evidence, but he could not. He then went back into the house. He called his 16-year-old girlfriend that was currently living in a school hostel quite a while away. She did not answer. He then at 4:27 Googles the emergency numbers that he needed to call. Henry then blacked out. He wakes up at 7:12 a.m. in the morning. He lights 3 cigarettes and then calls the emergency services, explaining to them that his family had been attacked and that he was the only one alive, and that it seems like his sister might also be alive because he could hear her making gargling noises. An investigation was launched and the case was quite clearly labeled as a homicide. While the investigation was ongoing, Henry actually enrolled in a chef's school where he met his now girlfriend, Danelle Jansen van Rensburg. Danelle was quite vocal about how she felt about the case and that she trusts Henry fully. As the investigators and the detectives started questioning Henry, some of his stories, some of the details in his stories started to change. For example, when he first called the emergency services, he said that he could hear Marley making gargling noises, but in one interview he said he could hear Rudy making the same gargling noises. When detectives looked around the house, they found no proof of forced entry. They also didn't find any unknown footprints around the house from where an attacker might have fled. No valuable items were also stolen from the house. Teresa's handbag laid open on the first floor with quite a substantial amount of money inside that wasn't taken. Martin, the father, had a watch collection in the master bedroom that wasn't touched. The helper that we previously talked about that said she saw Rudy laying with the family's dog on the couch said that she did recognize the murder weapon, the axe, the bloody axe that was found in the Van Breda home, as the same one that was kept in their pantry. She also said that the knife holder was missing a knife from one of the places. With all this, the police issued an arrest warrant for Henry Van Breda. In court, the injuries of the Van Breda family was explained as follows. This is quite graphic, so I will put a timestamp here if you'd just like to skip the explanation of the injuries. First, we have the father, Martin. His body was found in the boys' room alongside Rudy's. He was attacked from behind and was hit 4 times in the head with an axe. He had blood in his lungs, indicating that he did not die immediately. Rudy was found near the bathroom adjoining the boys' room. Captain Marius Hubert testified that the drag marks in the blood indicated that while he was wrapped up in his grey duvet, Rudy was either shoved or dragged towards the bathroom but left just short of it. Rudy also had the worst of all the injuries. He had defensive wounds all along his arms. He had a sizable cut on his pinky finger and he had severe head trauma. Droplets of Rudy's blood was found on the adjoining neighbor wall. Teresa also had defensive wounds and head trauma, so much so that fragments of her skull was actually visible on the ground next to her. Although she had less blood in her lungs, indicated that she died rather quickly. Molly had axe wounds to her neck and her head that were characteristic of the back of the axe, seeing that there were little to no penetration of the tissues, causing a lot less blood from Molly's attack as of the other family members. She was rushed to the hospital and suffers retrograde amnesia, meaning she does not remember anything of what happened that night. Because of this, Molly refrained from testifying in court. Other evidence that was submitted in regards to proving Henry's story to be false or to prove him to be the guilty party. Henry's story about him throwing the axe at the attacker that was descending down the stairs was proven to be false. Captain Marius Hubert said to the court that it was unlikely that the damage of the staircase wall was consistent with it being hit by an axe. Hubert also said, and I quote, that Henry was close enough. Why would you throw an axe at someone when you can just hit them directly? No unknown DNA was found in the Van Breda house, despite Henry saying that he did manage to hit the attacker with an axe. Overall, there were 50 samples of DNA found throughout the Van Breda house, 35 belonging to Rudy, 9 to Henry himself, 5 to Martin, 3 mixed, and 9 from Molly. Captain Hubert also commented on the void in Henry's bed. He said, and I quote, that had an absence of splatter in an otherwise blood-soaked area. Blood was also found on Henry's white socks, 9 from Rudy, 1 from Martin, 1 from Teresa, and 2 from Henry himself again. Captain Hubert said that this can only occur when you are standing in close proximity to the attack. In previous interviews, Henry explained that he did not see the attack happen on his mother and Molly. There were also no blood spatters found on the door, but there was, as explained found on Henry's white sock, even though Henry said in previous interviews that the door was partially closed and that he didn't have a direct line of sight to the attacker and his mother or Molly. Photographical evidence was also submitted showing that there were emergency numbers on the Van Breda fridge that outlined any and all security and emergency numbers of the estate. When asked why Henry didn't call these numbers and rather Googled an emergency number, he said that he felt he could get more done by himself. Henry also didn't want to perform CPR on Marley and Rudy, that he on separate occasions said that he could hear both of them gurgling. The emergency call center worker, Janine Melander, testified that she thought this was actually a prank call and why she didn't take the emergency call as serious as she would have in another instance. She said that Henry's demeanor over the phone is not what she would have expected from someone whose family was just brutally murdered. Some of the detectives that interviewed Henry said that he could describe the events of that night blow for blow, almost like he had been rehearsing it like a story. The security estate also tested the fences, the trip alarms and the thermal cameras and said that there were no irregularities found and no alarms were tripped on that evening. As stated above, Danelle Jansen van Rensburg, who is Henry's girlfriend, explained that the blackout incident Henry suffered was because of a water cyst on his brain. They had a friend who was studying medicine that identified the water cyst for one of his projects. She continues to say that the water cyst, blackout incident, and the defensive wounds make his story credible.
Strike you as unusual that Henry survived relatively unscathed?
Not after the epilepsy, not after he was diagnosed with epilepsy. He could have remembered it a bit wrong or something.
But Henry's quite clear about what happened that night up until the point of passing out. His detail is quite significant.
Yes.
Henry is...
I think if a traumatic event like that happens, it's hard to be that sure. I really do think, in my opinion, it's hard to be that sure.
That those wounds were put there by Henry?
No, I don't.
Those wounds
Yes.
that he suffered
Yes.
are completely consistent with him being attacked, you feel?
Yes.
Not self-inflicted
Yes.
at all?
Yes.
How did Henry react to that allegation?
Henry's wounds were described as superficial, most of them ranging between 5 and 10 centimeters in length and 1 and 2 centimeters deep. Henry was taken to the hospital with his sister Molly but did not require stitches. The wounds have also been identified as self-inflicted. Neighbors reported that they heard Henry and his father arguing not long before the 27th. Henry and his father did have an argument over allowance, as Henry's father found out that Henry had been using drugs yet again after spending time in a drug rehab facility in Cape Town. Marijuana was also found later in the case in Henry's car, with him and his girlfriend present in the car. To this day, Henry still proclaims his innocence. The widest believed theory as to why he did what he did was partially due to his drug habit, as well as the inheritance he stood to gain. Henry van Breda was sentenced on the 21st of May 2018 to 3 life sentences for Martin van Breda, Teresa van Breda, and Rudy van Breda. He also received an attempted murder sentence for Marley van Breda and an obstruction of justice sentence. He is currently serving his sentence at Drakenstein prison. That is it for this case. Please leave suggestions in the comments. If you have any other theories or facts regarding this case, please also comment them down below. I would love to hear them. You can also get in touch with me through my other social medias that will be linked in the description. Bye!